This video started out a lot more optimistic than it wound up being in the long run. I'm going to play you what I originally filmed, and then we'll talk about it. I love old cameras. I love film. I love early digital. I love the retro aesthetic. And I've been trying to introduce that more and more into my art, into my work, because it just speaks to me for who I am, where I came from, and the kind of things I want to make. And I'm always chasing that authentic feeling. And a lot of that feeling can only come by using authentic gear. Problem is, so much of it is so old and esoteric, it's really hard to get a hold of. Well, a few years ago, a YouTuber buddy of mine found this in his boiler room of a basement that had presumably been there for decades and offered it to me. And I took it in, knowing that it was some sort of ancient relic of a camera from the 90s or 80s, not really knowing how special it was. So it sat in my studio for a few years while I tried to do middling research here and there. And then I came across a Reddit thread where someone was trying to figure out how to recreate the 90s basketball aesthetic for TV broadcasts. Only they were referencing a film picture, not the broadcast itself. But someone mentioned that the Ikegami HL-79D was the quintessential camera for that time period. And that kind of rang a bell with me. I was like, wait a minute. I was looking into a camera like that not too long ago. Here is the HL-79D camera from Ikegami. This is the one that came before it. This was just like the E camera, which was a bit of a revision on this one. A camera responsible for much of the kind of iconic news and TV broadcast look of the 1980s. So this camera set in a boiler room of a basement for decades at this point, and then in my own studio just off in the corner, exposed to whatever bugs and whatever, and it got filthy. So I wanted to restore this. I wanted to put it to use in my work, but the first step was cleaning it up, and it was absolutely disgusting. It was covered in dirt and filth and grime, bugs, spider nests, and I started getting really concerned because the bottom feet have a whole lot of what was clearly mud caked into it and dried into it, which had me worried that this thing had been exposed to flooding and water. Thankfully, I did an initial pass cleaning it up here. It still could use a little bit more work. But thankfully, after doing the initial cleanup pass, I went ahead and took a look inside of it, and it is pristine in there. I don't think there's any sign of anything getting inside of it. And the guts of this camera are a work of art. The engineering going on here is insane. So for those who don't know, this kind of broadcast camera, especially from, the 1980s, didn't have a big mirrorless sensor like we're used to now, like I'm filming on now. This has 3 tubes, like a cathode ray tube like you'd see in a television. It has 3 different tube sensors for the red, green, and blue channels. And so it's actually capturing the full image in raw RGB. Each individual color is sent to a separate color tube in this camera and then encoded the video. Now, by default, you'd be outputting composite to a normal stream of VTR for recording to tape, whatever. But a neat little trick of this camera that I discovered in my early research is this remote output. This giant multi-pin connector that looks like it's out of science fiction can carry an RGB signal, like a Super Nintendo might, which would be a lot more high quality, avoid a lot of the artifacting of composite video. I need to figure out if I can use this camera, connect it to the RetroTink 4K. I think I could do amazing stuff with it. I have a couple challenges with this, a few of them. The first is powering it. It has its own power input, but I can't find any trace of what that power supply is. Understanding how to use it at all. There's no trace of the manual online whatsoever. I need a lens for it. It uses the B3 lens mount, which is a special ENG, as they're called, lens system for these kinds of news cameras. These lenses are basically treated like gold. So the cheapest way to get them is to buy other cameras that already had them on there. They are not easy to get. And most of them are going to be super zoomed in lenses, because they're meant for news reporting or basketball courts or whatever. And I need a bit of a wider angle for my smaller space here. And just knowing if it works at all. So I did the first step of cleaning it up and making sure it looks good. I did get in a power supply that I'm hoping will work with this. And I'm going to hook up the video out point here. Should just be composite video out of this BNC connector. And we'll see if we get a signal at all so that I know whether it's worth investing in a manual and a lens and whatever else I need. I need some sort of special connector or unit to get RGB video out of the back. All of these add up to quite the expensive endeavor, and I need to know that this thing even works first. So This thing is massive. In the world, a hair tie on the power cord. That is certainly the choice. So this is not even a battery. This is a power supply. This is an Anton Bauer SPS6 AC power supply. It's designed to be able to power other things through this XLR style 4-pin connector, and it slots onto the back of the camera and then just has traditional AC power. This thing is bigger than like most V-mount batteries I've ever seen or used. This is kind of bananas. Theoretically, if this was the right purchase, I should be able to just slap this bad boy right on here. Supplies power through the pins. All right, it has locked into place. That adds a certain chunk to the camera. And then we plug it in and see if we can at all turn this thing on. So I want to make sure the power supply is off. The camera, powering it, looks like we have external power there. So I'll just leave that and it automatically turns on with the external power as far as I can tell. So obviously we're not going to get a real video signal out of this as it stands if we don't have a lens. But what we should be able to get is some sort of, at least some sort of just raw, you know, pure white or whatever is coming through the image sensor. So I've got a composite cable adapted to BNC ready to go. I'm going to grab myself a tube and we shall see what we get. We got video. All right. So we are going to run a composite video cable to the TV from a BNC style connector that outputs from the video port on the camera, which is the second BNC style. So this is just like I run all of my analog video gear that I use for glitch art and things like that. We're going to plug in this power supply and hope everything doesn't explode. Because frankly, I don't know how many decades it's been since this camera has been powered on. All right, there's a power switch on the back of the power supply here. It clicked. We don't got anything here. All right, it clicked. I see no lights, but it should theoretically be on. It is on. You can tell on the back of the power supply, it is on. There's a switch at the back here. External power or camera battery. You're gonna switch that to external or to camera battery. And then up on here. No. Lights. Oh, actually, I have a yellow. That's interesting. I have some sort of yellow light in the viewfinder. Okay. That means something is operational. What exactly, I am not certain. Video, color bars. Still just that yellow light in the viewfinder. I don't know what that yellow light is. Camera, standby, and DPE. Oh, that's switched. Oh, we have a video stick. Oh! Look at that. It's moving based on when I move my hand. I think that's it. I think we have video. Can I put on my flashlight, give it some light? Yo! We have video. It works. Okay. Can we put some sort of lens in front of it? So the unfortunate thing is the B3 lens mount is a bayonet style lens mount, which means the glass pushes into the mount a fair bit. So I cannot, as far as I can tell, I cannot adapt any lens I have now to the mount. Else it will not really work. It's interesting that it's so dark. Like we're clearly getting light input, but you'd think that would give it something. And it's fascinating. This is a color machine. This might be interesting for like glitchy color gradients, if nothing else. All right, so I've got gain on the sensor I can switch here. These may just be color bars. I can see everything in... The tally light does not work. I can see everything in the viewfinder, just a big white square. Feel white balance control. That turned the tube off. I could see it go off in there. So that keeps it on. That's supposed to be color bars. Clearly we're not getting like a standard video signal. I may need to tune the... There are a bunch of pots inside for the analog video circuit. So that's supposed to be camera. This is supposed to be color bars. Clearly, the text keeps popping up. Clearly, it's not a stable video signal. Such this, it just goes off. Okay. Even in the internal viewfinder, which is just a black and white CRT, that's like in here that the viewfinder is reflecting at, I'm getting the glitching. Interesting. It is weird that like it's not clear how it's taking in the video signal right now. I have an internal ND filter here, but I'm pretty sure it's already like wide open. All right, this is incredible. The camera at least powers on. Whether I get a real video signal out or not is a big deal. I found a single eBay listing for the manual. It's like $100 to have it shipped to me for a paper manual, but it literally does not exist online. So a big part of this whole project is I'm going to be documenting all of this for a camera that has seemingly lost the time, but yet so important. And I'm going to scan that manual in and get it up on Internet Archive. And I guess I'm investing in the lens, at least the lens to start, and then maybe the RGB video output stuff to try to get a signal out of this. This is crazy. It's weird that it glitches out with the bars. I'm really going to have to consult the manual. There's like a fuse or something in here that could be bad. Like I said, I could need to tune the pots on the inside. Oh, the tubes on the camera itself were clearly causing, like, oh, I can hear it clicking. Yeah, the tubes itself are clearly causing some destruction on the TV, so that's fascinating. Yeah, it's getting some feedback from the lights. I don't know if I completely block it. It's very heavily green focused at the moment. I'm excited. I am so excited. So after doing some further investigation, I don't think I'll be able to use this camera. I almost swung on the RGB unit and a lens for it, and I'm realizing it's looking as if the output corruption is not actually related to the video output circuit at all. It's possibly bad capacitors, be it on the power supply or something else. I'm not seeing any immediate sign of bad caps, like physically, visually. That's what it's looking like. It's going to be a bit out of my wheelhouse to fix. So I would love to preserve this camera. I would love to document it further to keep it into the future, because I know there's a lot of people who are getting up there in years who have used these cameras back in the day for their actual work, but otherwise, like, publicly, it's not documented very well. I'd love to document it, to share, to use it, but I need help for this. So this is a short video to just be like, hey, anyone's worked on the Ikegami 79E, 79D kind of cameras and might be able to help, I'm willing to ship this off to someone who can fix it. I'll want to obviously vet you for some sort of expertise and everything, and not just send it to a random person. I do have the manual. I will either send it with it if someone needs the manual, like if they don't have reference material or whatever, or I will go ahead and scan it and get it uploaded. But I was hoping this would just be one big long 3-month project as I restore this and get it working and show it, but I don't think I'll be able to do it alone. So I want to preserve this camera. I want to restore it. I want to document it, but I need your help. If you know anyone who is an old school broadcast engineer, someone who has worked on these before, someone who might still know how to service these, let me know. And if anyone wants to just you know, has access to these and doesn't mind loaning one or something so I can just play with it for a bit, make a video on it, that'd be cool too. Remember to be kind, rewind. I don't normally make videos like this, but I got to get something out of this project, right?